Who wants to talk Phoenix Christian football? Let's go.
Hawking the ball carrier.
I'm your host, Brandon Sparks, launching this thing finally.
Yeah.
So here's the story, a little quick backstory. Jason Kindred got the head coaching job a few months ago and asked several of us to help out. And honestly, we didn't know anything about Phoenix Christian football. And so we've spent the last 2 or 3 months diving into the history and trying to figure out how we take the next steps with the program. So having you involved, obviously, are my co-host here, Blake Sparks' son, quarterback. Welcome.
Thank you.
Playing
Excited.
career's been obviously a lot with me.
Yeah.
You played for Jason. We'll get into that. Then high school career started at Northwest Christian into the pandemic, and then transferred to Millennium to finish your senior year.
Yep.
Then to Northern Michigan. So having your input and experience through this process has been so valuable. Just, not only just the X's and O's and the quarterback, but really kind of understanding how these kids think now. So, I'm 50 and Jason's 50. So to have somebody your age that,
Right.
can kind of hit us with, different angles and different perspectives is really important. But so I wanted to get into this. So when we first get the job and kind of do a tour of the school, it's like, I went to Tullison High School, graduated in '91, played quarterback, but really went the baseball route. So I played baseball, and then I went to Glendale Community College, and then Irvine, California. Then had you guys, but Phoenix Christian was a private school. I knew a couple people that went there. I kind of always thought they were on the, with Brophy and kind of the bigger schools, and so always had a lot of respect for them. But it wasn't really until I got on the campus that I was diving really into their history. So I basically went through every single yearbook that they had. I'm going to put a little video up right here of just the yearbooks that they have in the administration office. And so quick backstory: Old Paths Bible study turned Bible school turned high school. They buy a property in 73rd Avenue in Thunderbird. They sell it and buy its current property on 17th Avenue and Indian School. Their first class is in 1950, but they only have basketball. They hire Lester Finger in 55, and in September of 55, they have their first game against Peoria High School. I think they go 5-1. They only had like 6-game season. So fast forward that to this last fall in October, they've played over 500 football games.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, there's probably some history there to talk about.
Just a little bit.
So, the first thing I really wanted to know was who's got the rushing record. So search and search and search. Finally got a hold of a media guy that had some. They're like, oh, that's cool. I actually spent some time, if you check this out, I had pages and pages of notes just trying to do that. I was like, how am I ever going to get that based on just, on and on. So, I did this, trying to find who's in second, who's in third. Finally got the media guide and was able to get that part. Then I was fascinated. Well, who were the coaches? How many coaches came before Jason? So determined that he's going to be the 15th coach in this upcoming season. Will be the 68th season. And so I went to Tolleson High School. I know Tolleson High School and Agua Fria have been around a little bit longer than, actually a lot longer than that. But when you look at the game of football in the West Valley, the Millenniums and the Westviews and the Canyon Views and anything north, none of them have that storied tradition. Obviously, you got your Brophies and Camelback High School, Saguaro. A lot of those schools. I don't know where like Valley Lutheran fits in or Northwest Christian. I know has been around a long time as well. I haven't really dove into that.
I don't know if it's that long though.
It might be,
maybe.
Yeah. So I mean, it'd be fun to do that. But here's the fun part of it. So Lester Finger coaches 6 years, and then Walter, I think he went by Walt Bemis, comes from Kansas. He's a track coach and a football coach. Wins a couple games. They move him up. They move Phoenix Christian up a division, and he didn't really feel like he could compete against schools that had 900 kids in them. And so he decides that he's gonna move on. So he goes to Saguaro High School for I think 3 or 4 seasons, and they're basically begging him to come back. So he comes back and promises himself that he'll never leave. So it's funny when I'm going through the yearbooks, I'm like literally, okay, Walter Bemis. So that's an interesting name. So, and I write his name down, and then the next year, and then the next year, and then the next year, dude. He coaches from 1962 to 1988, 26 seasons. I'm like, that guy, I'd been there 3 months, 2 months before I even heard his name. So, I mean, that wasn't anybody's fault, but as much as it's like that, just standing on the field, just kind of looking at that, I was like, well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So then after Bemis leaves, they have a couple coaches come in, and then Keith Brown comes in. Keith Brown goes 10 years, 2 state championships, 96, 99. His group of kids are my age, so they're his early years. I graduated in 91, so that was right when he started, and then his later years, and closer to 2000. Then Jim Rattay comes in, whose son is Tim Rattay, the guy drafted to play in the NFL by the 49ers. And, then obviously played for the Cardinals for a little bit. So he's got an awesome story. And then, I met Russ Richardson, who played for Indiana. I met, I'd known the Ging family. There's tons of Gings that have gone there. But I remember Zach Ging playing in that Boise State football that Fiesta Bowl here, where they had that Statue of Liberty play.
Yeah.
So a couple clips of those guys. I think Zach got hurt in that game. I didn't know him real well, but I knew of him and I knew his family. So Phoenix Christian's always kind of been this, had this legacy. And so I really felt like we owe it to them. And at the beginning, when I first got the job, I was like, who am I to do a podcast about Phoenix Christian? I didn't play them. I don't know anything. But at the same time, I realized that, I'm a part of the future. So what I want to be able to do is hand the next coach, whoever it is, like, here's the backstory. Here's the legwork. I want to ask you a couple of questions. One is, you're thinking about, the idea of saying, hey, we want to spend some time talking about the past Phoenix Christian.
Right.
But we also want to talk about the current players and the current coaches. And really, I want to dive into Jason Kindred, both his past players that he's had, because if you think about parents that are thinking about, hey, if I want to go to Phoenix Christian, what am I getting? And the best way to describe that is to talk to guys like you. What are your early memories of Pop Warner football, playing with Jason in your playing days?
Yeah, I only played with him for the 1 year, the Jets for the 1 year, because you coached me most of my Pop Warner career. So they would always practice. We would practice on like the same field, and I was always like around the Jets. So they were kind of like the older, cooler guys. And so was Jason. Kind of looked up to them for a while, wanted to play with them, and kept staying down for you to coach me. And then I ended up playing with them 1 year, and it was very it was cool. It was definitely something I'd look forward to my whole childhood. And so it was nice to be able to be a part of that discipline. It was ran the same. You kind of learned a lot from him. I know that, but being a part of the Jets and having him do it is very different from being like the coach's kid to being a part of the whole group. And he definitely wants what's best for you, even though the truth hurts sometimes. Like when I had to be a center, like that, you're like, oh, I'm on the Jet. Like, okay, you're going to be a center. You're like, okay. But like even then, he like showed love, care, and wanted the best for you as a young man, and definitely wanted you to grow.
Yeah, and the starting quarterback was just better than you. He was older that year. Walk me through in your mind what makes a good coach versus a bad coach. How does that play out in your head? You know, you've played for a lot of different coaches.
Yeah. I feel like it comes down to almost outside of football. Like if a coach cares about a kid's growth personally, then football will follow. You're going to be a great athlete from your dedication and discipline towards anything. So as a coach, wanting to get to know the person and caring for them and wanting the best for them first before you try to make them your star athlete or before you try to make them whatever, it definitely helps. And that's what Jason's done his whole Pop Warner career, and I think what he'll do in high school very well, and what these kids would really enjoy and what they need, especially to grow on the field and off the field, which I think go hand in hand for sure.
Yeah. You know, one of the things we've observed is they don't know us. Right. They don't know us from anybody. And so we've really kind of taken a backseat approach and just kind of getting to know them. It's like, you know, really staying away from the coaching and the philosophy and just, hi, how are you? Where are you from? What's your story? Lots of neat kids there. Yeah. Lots of good athletes. Last year they went 1-9, which is, you know, not to the standards that of Phoenix Christian football by any stretch of the imagination. That's going to change in a hurry. And the cool thing is we have the kids to do it. So when you think about the years you had with Jason, because he was the last coach before you went into high school, how do you think that his style is going to trend? Because that's going to be the biggest question people have. It's like, that's great, you were a Pop Warner coach for 20 years. How do you think his style is going to translate to these high school kids and high school football in general?
Well, because I think his style of play translates to just life in general, which is discipline, dedication, focus, and all that other. And that's why all the alumni that have played for him, that's why they're excited to see him, because they've continued living their life with the stuff that they learned through Pop Warner when they were a kid.
Right.
So going from that to high school, it's where it was like, oh, we don't have to line our helmets up. We don't have to stay in line. We don't have to wear all the same stuff. We don't have to, like, they really like make you individuals on a high school. They let you be individuals on a high school team. Yeah. And like Jason would let you be an individual, but with your play. Like he would give you opportunities to let you shine and let you play ball. Yeah. But it wouldn't be look at me, like you score. Great, I'm happy for you, but celebrate with your teammates, with the linemen, with everybody as a team, because that's what we are.
Yeah. I think it's one of the biggest things that I've noticed over the years and has been this sense of brotherhood. Yeah. You know, every person that's ever played for him knows. They just know. Oh, you were a Jet? Yeah. Yeah, you were a Jet, weren't you? Yeah. Yeah.
There's no bad taint on the Jets or coaching or any. It's always pot. Yeah.
No. Yeah. Yeah. You know, he's coached guys that are in the, playing for the major leagues. He's coached, Major League Baseball, NFL, Olympians, Devin Allen, he's coached him. D1 players, D2 players, they have guys who play college, but just good guys. Lots of guys have gone in the fire department. One time we got in an Uber, and it's like, oh, coach, it's amazing. A lot of times when we're out, we'll be at tailgaters or go somewhere. Oh, there he goes again. Running for president, kind of a scenario. Yeah. But and I think it just speaks volumes to the character, and the relationships are definitely a priority. So, if you're, I was a parent searching the internet saying, I'm thinking about sending my school here or there. And so that's kind of one of the things I wanted to provide, with this platform, is just to say, hey, I'm going to give you something, some background, and not just for me, one guy tooting his horn, blah, blah, blah. But I want to get, a lot of his former players, which really kind of gets into his current staff. So when I'll get into more into his story and his side of things, coming up to him getting hired. But when he did decide he was going to take it, and he asked, there's probably 10 or 15 of us to go, yeah, I'll help.
Mm-hmm.
So, we have a really big staff, and we are really like a family. So, I've known him for, I don't know, 12, 15 years, and I'm probably on the newer side of things. Anthony Vegas played for him. Jalen Johnson, who's the running backs coach, played for Jason, who went to Westview High School, played through his college career, had an opportunity to play for Air Force. Great guy. And his dad helped him, Larry Johnson. Great guys. There's just a tremendous amount of trust and faith with every one of these coaches. Brian Rector, his son Cade, was the quarterback on, I think, his 2012 national championship team when he played for ESPN. That's a fun story, just that one season. And I know Cade looks at Jason like an uncle, like so many of them do. But Brian, the quarterback's coach, and Jason played together at Maryville High School in the 90s. So they've known each other for, forever, practically their whole lives. I don't know if they just met in high school. I have to ask them that. But I really want to get Cade and Brian on the program. So then you got Chooks. Chooks played for Georgia. He's going to be a fantastic asset to the kids. First of all, he's huge and just demands respect.
Great energy.
Yeah, great energy, and the kids automatically gravitate to him.
Yeah.
And then, if you look at Terry Perkins, which is actually Jason's son, he played at Basha and then played the rest of his college career. His energy's off the charts, and he's kind of one of those guys too that's genuine. Hey, you messed up. He's gonna let you know. But he's also gonna be the first one off the high fiving you. So the mix of just knowledge and youth and experience and care just for the kids. Like the wins and the losses and the X's and the O's are coming, but. We were all about to just retire. I was about to retire, so Michaela, my daughter, played volleyball. I coached volleyball for 20 years. She went to Scottsdale Community College, and then she just graduated at Penn State. So I'm like, okay, that chapter is over. Your football career is over. So I'm literally sitting there going, man, sports has been such a huge part of my life. What am I going to do next when this opportunity popped up? Yeah. So I don't have this burning need to be anything other than I just have some more to give,
Right.
and, lots of experience. And I think Jason's story is similar too. Brian Rector's story is similar. We got Mark Chavez that's got lots to offer all the kids, like the life experience that's going to allow him to do that. And so, the picture of the coaching staff, I know them all of them really well. And so we'll get into each one of those guys. I want to get into each one of the current players as the season kind of comes along. I was going through the equipment room and I ran through these I got these jerseys. I got to share this with you guys. This is like 3 of like 30 of them, So when you look at these old school jerseys, you just sit there and look at them like every one of these has a story. I don't know if this is a practice jersey, but like after looking at it literally could be a game jersey.
Crop top days.
But, but I've seen some of looking at some of the pictures in the yearbooks, and I'm going to share a bunch of those. But then I ran across this one, and it's like, I don't know whose jersey this is. I'm sure I can find it. I would imagine it's probably Brian Cole days. They lost the state championship in 19. He had a great run but I want to know, this is a baller. Whoever this is, you got to hit us up. You got to find this. So, dude, I want to shake your hand. I want to hear your story. Here's a couple names of people that I've known. So one is the Hamstra family. So Paul Hamstra, we went to church with, and I know his older brother. I don't remember his name, but I know he's deeply involved in the alumni association, so I can't wait to meet him. But Paul played basketball in 1980. I think he graduated 85, something in there. And I asked him to come by, and when we were sitting in the gym and he's looking at the the place where his dad sat. He said, my dad sat there and watched every game. And I was like, that was kind of what I was like, I'm hooked.
Yeah.
There's a story that needs to be, how many years is that? You could just see, he took a moment and just like, wow, this is really, I wasn't expecting that,
Yeah.
So Tim Kohner and Sean Kohner. Tim coaches at Chaparral, I believe. I barely know him. But Sean, I'm a huge fan of. And I didn't know he played at Phoenix Christian.
I didn't know that either.
So he coached you at talk about Sean for a second.
Yeah, he's probably one of my favorite coaches of all of high school. He showed up for all of the things that I had for celebrating or going to the next level or anything like that. Always showed care. He was always tougher on me, but he knew that he could get it out of me, but it was the right amount. Like he knew how much he could push me to get the best out of me, and he could have his fun. He could be serious. He could joke around, but when it came down to it, he knew how to talk to me and how to get the best out of me, and knew how to talk to me like an adult almost instead of talking down to me. It was like, hey, like we're both trying to achieve the same thing. I got you.
Yeah. So as an alumni, I talked to Sean several times when we've got it, just kind of asking, hey, just resource thing, like who do you call when you need this or that, or like lining the field or whatever it is. And he's been super supportive, and that's just his character. And I know for somebody like that wants to see Phoenix Christian football continue to be successful and continue to be something that they're really proud of is a big deal. And so that's one of those driving forces. Jim Rattay coached for I don't know how many. He's won over like 330 high school football games.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's 30 years. And every year you win 10 games.
At least.
Yeah. So I definitely want to talk to that guy. That guy knows some stuff about football and really knows some stuff about people.
Yeah.
And so I would imagine that he, so he was with Phoenix Christian for 6 or 7 years, I believe. But he came late in his coaching career, I think. He got to coach his son at Phoenix Christian his senior year before he went to college. So he's somebody I definitely. And then Keith Brown, I don't know his story at all. I don't know if he's married. I don't know if he has kids. But he was here for 10 years, won that 96 and 99 state championship. I want to say hi to that guy.
Yeah.
I want to share with him where we currently are, and really just kind of look at the success that he's had. So coming up on the 04, that was Rattay. So that's going to be 20 years from their state championship. That was the last state championship we had, 20 years. I'm sure somebody somewhere is doing something with that. But 7 state championships. You have the 59 with Finger. You had Bemis won 2 of them in 84, 85. You had Brown win 96, 99. And then you had Rattay win 04. 03, 04, 04, 05, I don't have that. And then obviously I said Brian Cole and 19 came close. They've lost several. I really want to get into the lost ones too and hear the stories, because sometimes those are the ones you really remember. You know what I mean? Where you're like, we had that game. Or, Morency, I was looking at my notes here, and I noticed when I was going through the yearbooks that they had lost to, in 94. So they lose to Superior in the playoffs, but they beat them easily
during the season,
like 3 or 4 weeks prior.
Yeah.
So somebody out there, somebody has that. Here's the other thing that we're really missing. I'm missing several of the records, so I really like to tie down the records for all of the seasons. So like at Phoenix Christian's overall season. So the 02 season, the 01, the 93, the 91, the 84 season, 64 or 63, 64, 58, and 56. So I think there's like 9 seasons that are missing that I don't have the record. So somebody out there has a old media guide or an old newspaper can, tell me or prove to me what the record is, because I want to be able to know, I think my final number that I got to, see if I have it here. Yeah, so my final number is they're 388 and 142-7, 7 ties. Like, that's crazy. But and then the other thing is like when I get on Huddle, it only goes back to like 2016, so there's no video. And like I had my video, my playing day video. My dad was up there with his iPhone recording.
Yeah, right.
So, but he had that old school, big old heavy camera, that you're sitting there, and recorded all my games at Tolleson. So I know that there's video out there, just video highlights. I really want to see those. I really want to play those. I want to capture that in kind of a permanent fashion. I want to know who was All-State, other than Russ Richardson and Zach Geen. Those are the only 2 people that I know that played D1 football, and I know there's more than that. Several people are like, "Hey, man, I played there." So I want to know those guys for sure. Yeah. And then we want to obviously we want to raise money through the alumni. So we have some ideas upcoming. One of them is we would like to have the alumni sponsor a locker, and we're gonna make a plaque for you. Just kind of show your playing stats if you want. And then put it on their locker so we can connect our current players with and have that respect, and them know that when you step on the field and when you put on a Cougar uniform, it means something.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of people sitting in your shoes that are supporting you, and so to take that that's really, really important. So the other thing too is looking at this Max Preps. And, this is the only records that we have. So, we got Rattay, Brandon Harris, Denson, Olson, and DeMose. So, beyond that, there's nothing in there. So, no Brown, no Bemis. Any final thoughts?
No, I'm just excited. I'm excited for you guys, excited for Jason, excited to see what you guys are going to do with this program. I feel like a few people know what's going to happen, and a lot of people around that have played Phoenix Christian and other people down there don't really know what's going to happen in the next few years with Jason there, but I'm excited to see what happens for the program and for the school.
Yeah. All right, that's it. Go Cougars.